Welcome everyone to Philosophy 301 Ethics. In this video I'm going to give you some basic outline or guidelines for this class and take you through our Moodle page and get you acquainted with the infrastructure and just how things are going to work, how content will be delivered, how you'll submit assignments, and material of that sort. So the first thing I want to highlight for you is where you can find the course syllabus. So I'm here on the Moodle page, and if you go under the heading General Course Information and Resources, which I'm at right now, and go down to the syllabus, this really will be your first stop if you have any questions about really the course in general. When the assignment is due, what videos or readings I should be doing in any given week, how many points every assignment is worth, anything like that. Really, any question you have about the course, it's very likely it's answered in the syllabus, and we're going to go through the syllabus today so I can clarify all of my expectations and what you should expect from this course. So let's go ahead and open up the syllabus, and we'll start off with a few things. So first, I have some contact information up front, and so we should say a few things about how to contact me. And specifically because this is an online course, I think this is actually quite important because there is a sense in which a distance learning environment or an online learning environment can feel like an alienating experience. Right, so in a normal face-to-face class, you would have a learning community of other students, you would have direct contact with the instructor who you could ask questions to in real time, and all these things give you a sense of connection to the class, which it's easy to lose sight of when you're in an online learning environment. So the first thing I want to say is there is in fact a real flesh and blood professor who's teaching this class, namely me. And as you can see there, my name is Ryan Pollock, and I am happy to help you. I'm happy to be available to discuss matters with you in this course, and there are a number of ways in which you can get a hold of me. So the primary way to get a hold of me would be through email. You can see I've listed my email here, ryan.pollock@uprovidence.edu. So any questions you have that really just pertain to you that you want to get an answer by, shoot me an go ahead and shoot me an email, and I will respond as quickly as I can. Now, let's say you want to have a more in-depth conversation about something, about how I graded one of your assignments, or you want to know about what I'm expecting for an assignment, or you just want to talk more about the course material. All of that is great, all of that is wonderful, and I'm also happy to do that as well. Now, of course, because it's an online course, there won't be physical office hours in a physical location, but we can meet virtually, and we can do this through, on Moodle, they have an online meeting room. And so I can go ahead and show you where that is located. So if we scroll down to this link right here, Collaborate Online Meeting Tool, and we click here. Now you'll see right now there are no open rooms, there are no sessions, but were you to email me and we could set up a time to meet, then there would be sessions available here, and we can meet virtually in that way. All right, so I'm available through email, I'm available to meet through these online meeting rooms. Also, something we'll get to a little later on, we have discussion forums, and if you pose questions to me in the discussion forums about the material, I'll also answer them there. So the first thing to know is that there is a real flesh and blood person who is there and is concerned about your learning and wants you to do as well in this class as you possibly can. And so please do take advantage of that. Do not feel in any way shy or hesitant about getting in contact with me. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing, so you'll notice on the syllabus I have a course description. I'm not going to say too much about the sort of material we're going to be learning in this course in this video. In a subsequent video entitled On Living and Acting Well, I go into this description and talk about the various sorts of questions that we will be talking about in this course. So I would refer you to that video, which you'll also be required to watch this week, and I would encourage you to read through this course description if you just want to see what are the sort of questions that we're going to talk about in a philosophy class on ethics. Okay. So let's continue on and talk more about sort of the nuts and bolts sort of issues or matters for this class. Another question you might have is, how is learning actually going to be conducted? especially again because this is an online learning format. How are we going to run things? So there are really three components to the learning format: the readings, the video lectures, and the lecture outlines. And to give you a sense of this, I actually want to go down to the course schedule. So use the table of contents. So let's see here. So here we're looking at week 1, August 24th to August 28th. That's the first official week of this course. And so every week of the course on the syllabus has this outline, right? On the left, it'll show you the topics we're going to cover that week. On the right will be all the tasks that you need to complete. And those tasks I've organized into reading, videos, and assignments. And I've done that intentionally. Ideally, I think the best way to complete the tasks you need to do every week is first to do the reading, then to watch the videos, and after that to complete the assignments. Okay, so let's take a look at week 1. And let's take a look at reading first. Now, week 1 probably isn't actually the best example for this because there is no reading for this week, for the first week of the course. So let's just take a look at week 2. So you see, under the reading portion for week 2, we have 2 separate bullet points here. One is a reading from Plato's Republic, book 2. Another is a reading from Hume's Inquiry Concerning the Principles of Morals. A couple things to notice about these is that so first, all the readings are found online, right? So you don't need to buy a textbook for this course. Any reading material will be found through Moodle, and I'll show you where to find that in a second. Now, when you open up the document, you'll notice that some of them, well, I shouldn't say not all of them, but some of them will be quite long. You might wonder, do I have to read the entire thing? Not necessarily. Notice that for both of these readings, I've highlighted specific portions which you are required to read. So for the Plato reading, you only have to read pages 998 to 1007, and for the Hume reading, only 162 to 165. Okay, and one other point I want to make, let me scroll down to find an example of this. Right, so let's take a look at week 4. So in this, for week 4, you notice there are 3 readings, one by Aristotle, 2 by Epictetus, and take a look at the third one in particular. You'll notice that this one says optional. Okay, so what does that mean? That means if you're strapped for time, the readings you should really focus on are the first 2. Those are primarily what I'll be focusing on, but I will also be drawing on the third one. So if you have the willingness or desire or time, then you can do the third reading. But ideally, what you should focus your energy on are the first 2 readings, in this case by Aristotle and Epictetus. So that's just what to look out for with the readings, the page selections, and whether the reading is optional or not. Now, in terms of where do you actually find this, I told you that all the readings are online. They're all accessed through Moodle. So let's go back up to week 2, and you might say, where can I find this reading by Plato? Where can I find the one by Hume? So if we go back to the course page, right now we're in the general course information and resources area. But let's go to, if we want to find the readings for week 2, we'll go to the week 2 area. Scroll down, and you can see that the readings are right here. So the reading from Plato is right here. The reading from Hume is right here. If you click on the document, it'll open up just like that. So that's where you find all the readings. Wherever you want to find a reading, you'll just go to the week that it corresponds with on the schedule. Okay, so that's the first component of the way the learning format goes. So the second thing, this class, in terms of class sessions, we don't have any synchronous class sessions, right? So in some cases, you could conceivably have an online course where you had virtual class meetings. In that class, we're not going to do that. The content will be delivered through a series of lecture videos. So for instance, in week 1, we have some videos. There's actually 4 of them here. 2 of them are explanation videos, right? So actually one of them is the video we're watching right now, Explanation 1, Class Introduction and Syllabus Overview. Okay, and then there's also a video for Explanation 2, Discussion Forum Guidelines. So those videos aren't about the course material, they're not about philosophy, they're not about ethics, they're just about getting you acquainted with the nuts and bolts of the course. And then other kind of videos, the vast majority of the videos are entitled lecture videos. These are the videos that are actually about the course content, about philosophy and ethics, and there's 2 of these for week 1 as well. So where will you find all of these videos? Well, if you want to see the videos for week 1, let's click on the week 1 area. Now you'll notice that the video for explanation 1, the syllabus and overview and class introduction is not posted yet because of course, I'm recording it right now. But once I get this video done, I will upload to this area as well. But you can see explanation 2 is here, lecture 1 is there, and lecture 2 is there. So again, just like the readings will all be in the specific week area that corresponds to the schedule, the same with the lecture videos. And what will you find when you click on these links? So let's say you want to watch the first lecture, Living and Acting Well. So you click on this link, and where does it take you? So it takes you to YouTube, and specifically it'll take you to YouTube to a video that I've made that is posted on my channel, right? So this means there are a couple ways you can access the video. One, you can access all the videos through Moodle in the way I just told you, or you can also subscribe to my channel if you just have an insatiable appetite for philosophy and you want to see not just the videos for this course, but even for other courses I'm teaching, then you can see those as well. But in any case, both of those will be ways you can access the video. Now, one other point I should make about these as well, as you start going through these lecture videos, you'll notice that I use a PDF document, right? So I talk over and I scroll through a PDF document. So if we just skip ahead, right, so this is part of the document I'm using. If the video kept going, I would scroll through and talk over it. And when you're preparing for exams or doing other assignments, it might be helpful to you to have use of that PDF document. So here's the way that you can access it. If you go to the YouTube description and you click Show More, there's a link right here, and if you click that link, it will take you to the PDF document that I use in that video, and you can scroll through it, you can download it, you can save it to your computer, you can do whatever you need to do with that document. Okay, so that's it in terms of the videos, and then yeah, so that's in terms of just how the content will be delivered. You do the reading, you watch the videos, you review the outlines if necessary. Okay, now one other point I want to make about if you're just feeling at any given time lost about what you should do in any specific week, there's one other area I want to point you to that will give you instructions. So you should have recently received an email and a course announcement just welcoming you to the course and also saying here's a document with instructions for week 1. So every single week I'm going to be emailing you an announcement of that sort with a new instruction document, and so you'll receive that document with instructions for that week that way, but also I'll be posting it to Moodle. So for instance, if you go to week 1 and we scroll down, here are week 1 instructions. So that document I emailed you will also be put here. When we get to week 2 and I send out that document, then I'll post it on week 2, week 3, etc., etc. And if you look on this document, you can see what you're going to get is a breakdown of here's the reading you need to do, here are the videos you need to watch, any assignments you need to do, and in subsequent instructional letters, also probably have some reminders of things you should be thinking about for the future. So here are some assignments coming up, or you might want to think about starting to prepare for the exam, etc., etc. So again, if you want to know what you should do in any time, consult the syllabus for a general view, or if you just really want to drill down on one specific week and know what you should do, click on that week and click on the instruction document. Okay, so let's head back to the syllabus. So we've covered how learning will actually occur in the course. We should probably talk a little bit about the assignments for this class. So there are 3 different kinds of assignments. And the first of those 3 kinds are the discussion forums. Now the first thing I'll say is I'm not going to say a whole lot about the discussion forums in this video because there is actually a separate video devoted to that, right? So if you go back to week 1, this video right here, explanation 2, discussion forum guidelines, if you click on that, it'll go through in more depth and detail the information you need to know for the discussion forums. So I'm not going to get into the details of that right now. All I'm going to say, I'm just going to point you to where in the course schedule it tells you where and when you need to complete a discussion forum. So if we go to the course schedule, and let's stick with week 1, let's go to assignments. you'll see that in week 1, 2 discussion forums are due, right? So we have discussion forum 1 and discussion forum 2. And I'm not going to get into what first post and response post mean because that I do in the other video, but you can see it also tells you the due date. So your first post for discussion forum 1 is due Wednesday, August 26th, and your response post for discussion forum 1 is due Friday, August 28th, and both of those are due at the end of the day. And just a general clarification, you'll notice it says by 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time. And so every single time, if I ever give you a time anything is due anywhere, it always refers to Mountain Time, right? Just so we're on the same page. I, for instance, actually live in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I am in the Eastern Time Zone, so I won't be on Mountain Time, but the class as a whole is always going to be on Mountain Time. Always use that to know what a deadline is. Okay, so and you can see that if you scroll through, each week there's going to be at least one discussion forum due. So week 1 there's 2 of them due. Week 2 you see 3 and 4 are due. Week 3 only forum 5 is due, right? So sometimes there'll be 1, sometimes there'll be 2, but just take a look at the syllabus to see when those are due. And the other thing is, so what is the discussion forum? Well, so in this class, right, we don't have a synchronous class meeting, which means that we're not having a lecture and discussion simultaneously. You'll watch the lecture and the videos, but then there's also an important component to a philosophy class where we are discussing the material with one another. And so the purpose of the discussion forum will be to allow us to do that. And again, the specific guidelines for that are in the other video, but I will just show you where to complete these. So for instance, we're in the area for week 1, and if we scroll down, here's discussion forum 1, there's discussion forum 2. If we click on discussion forum 1, you'll see here are the threads that you can use to participate in. Okay, so again, for the complete details, see the other video, but know that there are 20 of those discussion forums throughout the entire semester. Each forum is worth 10 points, that's 200 points, that's 25% of your total grade. All right, the next assignment area are the response papers. So the response papers are also worth 200, in total, they're worth 200 points of your total grade, which is 25%, and you have to complete 4 response papers, each is worth 50 points. Okay, so again, there's actually going to be, it hasn't been posted, well, it depends on when you're watching this video, but as of the moment I'm doing this right now, which is August 16th, 7:06 p.m. Eastern Time, at that exact moment, I have not yet posted the response paper guidelines video. Perhaps it will be posted by the time you watch this. But the point is, I'm not going to go into, again, too much detail on this assignment because there will be a separate video for that. And if you go into the course schedule, you can see that you'll be required to watch that video in week 2, right? So here it says explanation 3, response paper guidelines. So again, not too much detail about this assignment, but what I will say here is the following. You'll notice that earlier I said 4 response papers are due, but if you just take a quick scroll through the course schedule, then you'll see, okay, response paper 1, response paper 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc., etc. If you went all the way through the course schedule, you'd actually see there are 10 response paper submission possibilities. So what does that mean? 4, you have to complete 4, but there are 10 opportunities. So what that means is that while there are 10 opportunities to complete response papers, you're only required to complete 4. And with one important caveat, which I'm going to explain in a moment, you get to choose which 4 you're going to complete. Now, what is that caveat? Well, the only caveat is this. You have to complete at least 2 of the first 5 papers. So notice that response paper 5 is due on October 9th at 11:59 p.m. So that means by that time you have to have completed at least 2 papers. If you wanted to, you could do all 4 in the first 5 papers and be done. You could do paper 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that'd be perfectly fine. Or you could do the first 2 and the last 2, right, in the semester. It doesn't matter, just as long as you do at least 2 of the first 5 papers. Now, if you don't do at least 2, so let's say you wait till the very end, you're like, oh, it's response paper 5, I haven't done any papers yet, you turn that one in. at that point you would have to take at least 1 0. Because you were supposed to do 2 of the first 5, you only did 1. So you'll get credit for the one you did, but you will have to take at least 1 0 on the assignment for your final grade. And 50 points is a pretty significant chunk, so that's not something you want to do. Okay, so again, the full outline or details or requirements will be in a separate video for the response papers. The last thing I'll show you just where to submit them. So once again, everything is just run by the particular week we're talking about. So I think the first response paper is due week 3. So here's the week 3 area. Go down. And here is where you turn in the response paper. So you click on this. And it just gives you an area here to submit your document. Okay. So that's the response papers. The last kind of assignment that you will find in this course are the exams. So there are 2 exams. There's an exam in the middle of the semester and an exam at the end of the semester. So you can see in the course schedule that the first exam we have, I believe, is in week 8. So that's that takes place the week of October 12th to 16th. The second exam will take place during final exam week, so the week of November 30th to December 4th. Now, a couple things to say about this. So first, it's kind of a broken refrain at this point, but I'm not going to give you too many details about the exams because there will be a separate video for that. And if I remember correctly, I think you'll be watching that video in week 4. It has not yet been posted, but it will be. The second thing is, the second exam, although it's during final exam week, is not a cumulative exam. So what that means is the first exam is only going to cover the material from weeks 1 through 7, and the second exam will only cover material from weeks 9 through 14. So the first exam covers the first half of the course, the second exam covers the second half of the course. Okay, now the only other thing I'll say about the exams here is just a note about the study guides for the exams and about the format. So the format for both exams will be exactly the same. You will be given 2 randomly selected essay questions to complete that are selected from a list of 6 possible essays. Alright, so if you go to General Course Information and Resources, and let's just take a look at the Exam 1 study guide. So I'm going to go over all these guidelines in the exam video, but just to show you, right now I have some essay questions posted. So here's the first possible essay prompt. Here's the second one, the third one, the fourth one. Right now, the 5th and 6th one have not been posted. They will be shortly and well before the exam, so you don't need to worry about that. But well before it's time for the exam and well before we get to these lessons, you will have all 6 possible essay prompts available to you. So, now what does that mean? Well, what that means is that you could, and I would highly recommend this, you could, for instance, once we finish lesson 2, you could work on writing out your response to this essay prompt. Once we finish lesson 3, you could work on writing a response to this essay prompt, and etc., etc. And why would this be a very helpful thing to do? Well, you'll notice that I didn't say the exam was on a specific day. It was actually during a specific week. So why is that? Well, so if we go back to the syllabus, and let's go to the first exam. It says here that the exam 1 will become available on October 12th at 8 a.m. and it must be submitted by October 16th at the end of the day. So that means you have a period of 5 days to complete the exam. And what does that look like? So there's going to be a program that you're going to use through Moodle. When you click on the program, it will give you 2 randomly selected essay prompts. So the prompts you see, the questions you see, will not necessarily be the same as somebody else. And it'll give you 20 minutes to submit your answers. Now, one thing you might think to yourself is, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. I mean, 20 minutes can't be enough time to complete those 2 essays. Those seem like pretty substantial prompts. And you would be correct. the 20 minutes is not designed so that that's the amount of time you have to actually write out your answers. The idea is that you would have already written out answers to all 6 essay prompts, and by the time you actually click on that program, then all you have to do is upload your files. Maybe you're making a few tweaks, checking your spelling, right, stuff like that, but basically all you're doing is uploading your files and you're already done. So the work is already done by the time you actually click on the program for the exam. Now, the reason I'm telling you this now is just to emphasize to you, I really would encourage you to start preparing for the exam early. It will make your life a lot easier if you just prepare gradually throughout the course of the semester instead of waiting till week 8 to finally start writing out your essays. Okay, but again, I'll talk more about the exams in a different video, but I think that's all I want to say about it at this moment. Okay, so what else do we need to take a look at? So if you put all this together, you can get your final grade, right? You have the 20 discussion forums, the response papers, the exams. That gives you 800 total points, and then your grade will be converted on the following grade scale, A, B, C, D, or F, in 10 percentage point increments. So one question you might have is, let's say I have a borderline grade, right? So I have a grade that's close to, let's say it was close to an A, but it wasn't quite there. I was still in the B range. Will I be rounded up? So the answer to that question is there is no automatic rounding, right? So it's not the case that if you're close, I'll just automatically bump you up, but your grade can be bumped up based on your participation. So I have here that if you are within 20 total points, not percentage points, but 20 total points, raw points of the next highest grade bracket, then I'll consider bumping you up. So just as an example, let's say at the end of the semester you have 700 points. You go to the grade scale and say, oh man, I'm so close to an A, but an A requires 720 points. So you would be within the range of me considering bumping you up because you're within 20 points. Then it would depend on your participation. And of course, because this is an online class, that participation will be evaluated through the discussion forums. So as I'll talk about, certainly there are ways that you can just sort of do the bare minimum for the requirements in the discussion forums. But if you go above and beyond in terms of the quantity or number of your posts, but more importantly, the quality of your posts, if you're making good substantive contributions, you're asking good questions, if you're doing all those things, then I would certainly consider bumping you up to the next highest grade bracket. And that's something I take into account at the end of the semester. Another thing I take into account at the end of the semester in terms of grade adjustment is improvement on the response papers. So if your first response paper doesn't go so well, but you really show you've worked hard, you've improved your philosophical abilities over the course of the semester, there's been clear improvements, then I would also take that into account for bumping your grade up at the end. Another important policy to mention is my missed and late work policy. So let's say, for instance, that you miss a deadline, like a discussion forum, or you don't turn an exam in on time because something comes up. Can I make that up? Is there a way to have that excused so I can complete the assignment at a later date? And the answer is yes, provided 2 conditions are met. So first, you need to notify the instructor no later than 24 hours after the missed assignment. So for instance, if you miss the exam is due at the end of the day on Friday, you would just need to let me know why you missed the exam no later than the end of the day, the next day on Saturday. And also, second, you have to have a reason the instructor finds for missing the assignment that's excusable. So something like, I simply forgot or slept through, which would be odd for an assignment that's due at the end of the day. But in any case, something like I forgot would not be really an excusable reason. But in a family emergency or an illness or a natural disaster, those sorts of things certainly would be excusable reasons. Okay, so I think that's everything I want to say about the syllabus. Again, if you're feeling like you don't fully understand some of the assignments, like discussion forums, response papers, or exams, remember there will be additional videos that will explain in more detail those assignments. And also remember, if anything I've said here seems incoherent to you or having a hard time understanding it, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email, and I will certainly get back to you as quickly as I can. Okay, thank you for listening. I hope that we find this course to be an enriching experience. I hope we find this course to be something that is extremely interesting. I know I'm excited. My first semester teaching here at the University of Providence, so I know I'm excited. I hope you are too, and I will talk to you in future videos.